Hi, Valter. How is it?
I am very good, my friend. Thank you for inviting me to come over today.
I'm so glad to have you here and hear your amazing story and journey because you have accelerated in this property world, especially in the UK. So could you just tell the listeners who is Valter?
So my name is Valter Pontes. I'm from Portugal, as you can hear from my accent. So I've been in the UK now for 5 years, came to study to be an actor. Then I've done my first year successfully. So now first I went to drama school, which is more kind of a practical approach to be an actor. I did a year foundation, then I dropped out, I went to university, and then my first year dropped out again. Then I started reading books. I wanted to be involved in property, but I thought, you need to have millions to be involved in property. Read a couple of books in the summer, my first year, and also read an autobiography by Arnold Schwarzenegger, which he said he started in property before he went to acting. And then starting property, so using my student loan to go to my first training, so which I don't recommend. But it did work for me. So yeah, so then he started in property. I started in property in 2018. We are in 2021. I built a portfolio of 8 figures already. Yeah.
Wow. And for the listeners, that book that you mentioned that you read, that book is really, really good with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's really good. But yeah, you're persistent. So, I mean, as I understand that you mean that you cannot recommend to do it, but you had the vision and you, yeah, just went for it and look where you are today. So why property?
I always wanted to be always wanted to be involved in property. Growing up, I remember, my father and my mother, we were always moving. And I was like, I need to find a way, when when I grow up, I need to find a way to have, property. So I have more kind of stability. So I wanted to be in the landlord side rather than tenant side. So yeah, I start with no money, and if it's possible for me, it's possible for everyone. I think that's why I think the publicity and I've been in Forbes magazine and all of that. I think it's just because I started with no money, so I think I can I show the possibility it's possible for everyone.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You just said it. So what I'm aware, but you may correct me if I'm wrong. You're a specialist in like you like HMO.
I have HMOs. I have some service accommodations. I invest in Portugal as well, where I'm from. I have a big portfolio. I have a portfolio in Portugal. It depends what do you mean big. So I run essays in Portugal. So I have single lets as well. So at the moment I'm doing a commercial conversion. So I'm in planning still. So I'm not doing, but I'm still in planning. So let's see. But yeah, but HMOs was because I was living in the room when I was doing, so in 2018, I was living in the room. So, and the room was not good. So I wanted to change that. I wanted to create a kind of more luxury HMOs. That's what I've been doing. Yeah.
Yeah, the design on the on your HMOs was like me and my fiance were like, yeah, we would like to live there, but
Yeah.
without the people, just me and her.
Yeah, that's what we wanted to hear. So that's what I wanted to hear. I wanted people to be proud where they live.
Yeah.
Rather than, because when I was living in a room, I was kind of ashamed to bring people over. I'm like, how about if they find out where I live? So I wanted to change that. Yeah. So, and that's what we've been doing.
So how do you, if you compare, like you mentioned that you're in the essay, you're in normal singlet, and now you're doing commercial conversion and HMOs, which one, like the good and the bad, if you like could compare, and what do you like and what is the bad side of all of the strategies?
Yeah, so it depends on what you want. So if you think like single lets, you have one single tenant and which is good. But however, if the property is empty, you don't have any income. HMOs, you have, let's say, the maximum we do is 6 beds. So that's the max I go. I like 6 bed because I don't want like 12 people living in the house. So I think 6 is a good number. Also, you don't need planning. So 6 bed, I would say. So let's say even if you lose 2, like 1 tenant, or you have like, let's say 4 rooms. So you have 4 rooms. Let's say you have 2 rooms empty, you still break even, if you see what I mean. Okay. So,
yeah.
So it depends. So I like the model because you get more cash flow. And then SA is a business. Basically, you need to have a management company to run SAs for you because it's a business, but the cash flow is good as well. So I like to focus on cash flow, and also what I do. So I buy 4 properties in the north and I buy 1 in London. So I have capital appreciation and I have cash flow as well. So yeah, that's my model.
Nice. So if you could just like go through it. So you say the north, is that where you have the HMOs, and in London it's where you have the essays, or it different?
No, I do have HMOs in London as well.
Okay.
But the way I see is, for example, the north will give me more cash flow.
Yeah.
And then in London will give me more capital appreciation because London tend to grow faster than the rest of I just to balance the portfolio, because let's say if you just buy in London, what can happen is if you get in recession, you don't have the cash flow. So then, you're in trouble. So now instead of the property becoming an investment, becoming a liability, because now you need to subsidize the property. So I like to have that balance of, in case if I need some cash, I can bring cash from the north to the London property. I hope it makes sense. So that's the way I do it.
It does. So do you struggle to get your rooms let out? I mean, they're beautiful. So I'm just, do you struggle to get, or do you get it rent out directly when it's empty, or?
Yeah. So during the COVID, finally we had like kind of 1 room empty, and we were very shocked. Like, oh my God, we have voids. My model is very specific, so I do very high end. So to be very honest, no, we don't struggle to rent at all.
Yeah.
Because if you see everyone, not everyone, but people would like to live in the nicest place. Some of the places we have cinema rooms. So other places, so we try to give as much space as we can. We give like we give like Netflix, they have TVs in their rooms. I would say, I will be honest, like when I was a student, I wasn't living in the nicest place like that. So I'm sure they are very happy. Yeah.
So what are the type of demographics, like your tenants? What is it, students, or what is it?
Yeah, our demographic is professional. So we have a lot of lawyers, doctors, nurses in our property. So, and that I think helped us when COVID hit, because we didn't feel as much. I felt in terms of in Portugal, SA dropped like kind of 92% occupancy to like 0. Yeah. Dropped completely. But that's the thing. Have a diversified portfolio helped, because then our HMOs was full. Yeah. So was cool. And I quite didn't feel the COVID, so I was very blessed.
Yeah, you were. That was really good. So let's compare, your SA, your HMO with people's HMO on the same street, obviously. What type of market rent can you take comparing to them? Like, is it a big difference that you can take?
Yeah, it's quite a big difference. So in my area, so rooms goes for.
I lost you.
For 350, 450, and 80 for a room is like almost you could rent a flat.
Could you take that on again? Because I just lost. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. So
sorry.
So no, it's all right. So just to give an idea, so our, let's say not competitors, but people that have properties. So on average, they rent for 350 to 450. Our biggest room goes, let's say our best room is 780.
Wow.
And then we rent for 650 to 780. So let's say that is the average. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a big difference. And do you have to go in very like heavy on the refurb then? Is the refurb very expensive if you compare it to others, or you?
Yeah, the refurb is more, I don't know how much people spend in the refurb. So it's not like I know, but my model, I take all the money out. So if I spend, let's say 120,000, I will take that money when I remortgage. So
Yeah.
I need to make sure I take the money because I do also use quite a lot of development finance. So I need to pay them. So I need to make sure I have enough money to pay. So
Yeah.
development finance, they wouldn't even give you if they, yeah, they know you can't pay them. So yeah, so in what I wanted to do, I spend a bit more in the refurbish, but if you see it's not my money, I'm leveraging bank's money. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So what type of HMO tips can you give to people that wants to do it?
To do like high end or just to do HMO?
High end.
Yeah, so you need to understand. So I went to property because I wanted to change that. I was a student. I saw a gap, not a gap, but I saw that, I didn't want people to, I wanted people to feel proud where they live in. So I didn't do that just because I want to do HMO. So I would say have something in mind, why you wanted to do HMO. So do you want just to be another landlord, just create another product, or you want to differentiate yourself? I think it becomes saturated because a lot of people are doing HMO. So you need to find a way to differentiate yourself. So that's what I would say. Read data. I'm not from this country, so I have to focus on the data. I just can't just decide like I'm going to invest whatever. So I let the data dictate where I invest. Make sure you do that, because if you think like Tesco's and these big companies, they always do market research. So I do a market research before you invest, because you invest in hundreds of thousands. So even in the north, just to give an idea, our HMOs is like almost 500,000. Yeah, so our last valuation was 495,000. So
Wow.
imagine now, so you're investing all this money and yeah, and you can't rent, imagine. Yeah, so yeah, so you need to do your homework. So it's not just creating HMO. So why you wanted to find a USP, what is unique about your product, and see if there's demand as well. Yeah, very important.
So and how do you do with the design? Is that you yourself, or do you have a designer who designed all of your deals, or how do you do it?
I have a big system. So one of the things I spend most of my time. So I started in 2018. In 2019, when I basically, was nominated Investor of the Year and stuff, I start focusing on construction side of things. So I start meeting a lot of developers and stuff. So I create a good system to get that finish I wanted. So I have a big system. So, and I have a design in-house. Yeah, I have a design in-house. So we do like 90% of our constructions in the beginning. When we start, basically the construction is, we don't have much like kind of normally go smoothly. Of course, you're going to have few things that, for example, we strip the property before we start. Even before we get the quote, the property will be naked, for example, so we can see the unforeseen stuff, just to have a more accurate quote. Yeah.
So do you suggest people that want to maybe do high end should get an interior design to top to get it that top, or what do you suggest?
Yeah, you don't need an interior designer. So you don't need an interior designer. It depends, some people are very good. I think I'm more kind of left brain, so I'm more kind of numbers. So I'm terrible interior designer. So I know my weakness. So maybe I would put a bed in the ceiling. So therefore I need to have someone to help me out with that. You don't need to have a full-time interior designer. You just need to, you can pay kind of, they come and they do a consulting, kind of, a consulting fee, they pay something and off you go. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And as you're aware, I'm a remote investor, me and my fiance, and some of the listeners are as well. And even you are, because you're doing both in Portugal and in the UK. What do you think you should think about when doing the refurbs as remotely?
As remotely, yeah. So the same thing, I have a big system. So for example, I have for construction, so I have like kind of, and by the way, I give that all to the builders. I don't expect the builders. One of the things we need to think about as a remote investor is don't expect the builders to give you all the systems. You as an investor give the builders the system so they can work. So for example, I have schedule of works, I have schedule of procurement where, you know, the time they need to look for the material. I give them, for example, schedule of, so when they need to look for subcontractor, all of that I give to them.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Yeah, just to make sure, you know, because if something goes wrong, I'm the one's going to get hurt, you know, in the end of the day. So the contract needs to be right. So we write a contract if in case they get late, for example, they have the time to give us the project. If they don't give us the project, they will be started getting deducted. So for example, other thing I learned, I didn't know is, for example, we don't pay the builders all the money. So we have a retainer for at least a year. So if in case the property, you know, and I will be honest, even my refurbishment, always in the first 6 months, something is going to go wrong, for example, or water infiltration, or the floor wasn't done properly, whatever it is, because you have that retainer, the builder will come back. If you don't have that retainer, you will be begging the builder to come back. So it's something that I've learned. So just having systems, so that's it, yeah.
So that was really good tips. But if you compare Portugal, the refurb in Portugal, and compare it to UK, which one is more expensive? Yeah, basically.
The UK, it depends. It depends on what you're doing. So what we do, I would say the UK is a bit more expensive, but yeah, so it depends. So it's a difficult question. I think, yeah, it depends. So I do more heavy refurb in the UK as well. So I scale faster in the UK. So so I would say, yeah, I spend more money in the UK. So. But yeah, but it's kind of, labor in Portugal is a bit cheaper, I would say, yeah, compared to the UK, yeah.
And if you compare the labor, is the labor better in Portugal or is it better in UK?
Now that's a good question, because there's no, like, it's not like labor is better. For us to get that finish, we need to find builders that do kind of a multi-million-dollar properties or pounds properties in order to be able to reach that standard. So that's what we go after. We go after these builders. So both builders in Portugal, here in the UK, they are pretty good because, you know, also my niche. So it's not like they're doing a normal HMO. I tried with the cheaper builders, and the problem is, even if you want a different, for example, a different heating system, they will complain, oh my God, we can't put that. So when these are, you know, more expensive builders, they just, because they are used to, you know, work and put these, you know, heating systems and stuff.
Yeah. And let's say lending, as I'm aware and you're aware, we both know the UK lending market. How is it in Portugal? Is it easy to get lending there as the same as UK, or do you need to be Portuguese, or how?
Lending side of things. So I would say is almost the same. So it's almost the same. So they do have, you know, something what they call kind of buy to let. So you buy your, let's say, your residential, and then you can buy a second house to let. So they have that product. So what else? They do have a development product as well. So I would say it's pretty much the same. So for example, I have purchase options in Portugal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's almost the same. So they have the contract. So I've done purchase options in Portugal as well. So I would say it's the same. Yeah. So the UK market is more mature, but yeah, the only thing is the law. The law is different. So for example, to evict a tenant, we never had to evict a tenant, but I know the law is different. So here we use ASTs and stuff, and so there is a bit different. It's just, that's the only difference. But in terms of finance, I would say the products, not the same product. So, fixed, interest, like kind of in terms of mortgage, not the same type of mortgage, but very similar, very, very similar.
So you basically can get like 75 LTV, loan to value, and etc.
Yeah, at the moment in Portugal, sometimes you can even get 90%.
Oh, wow.
LTV, yeah.
Okay, that's good. And do you use any grants, or like do they have like grants there as well, like in the UK, like for refurb and etc. that you can use?
Not them aware of. Not them aware of. I know them. Yeah, not them aware of in Portugal. I don't think that they have. As here we have. In the UK we have grants. So for example, to do. For example, if you wanted to get if you wanted to get like a solar panels and stuff, yeah, not in Portugal that I'm aware of. Yeah, something. Yeah.
So which one do you prefer? Which
Portugal,
country?
Which country? I love Portugal. So I'm from Portugal. So the food is good, the weather. So I love Portugal, but I love England as well. So I think I learned property here. So so I'm talking about going from a student to what I have at the I've done here. So I learned here, I'm implementing there. So I love both countries. So, and I would say this is a more mature country, the UK. Yeah. So so I have a bigger portfolio in the UK as well. So I have properties in Portugal, but I have a bigger portfolio here. So I would say I'm doing here, then I'm doing Portugal as well, but I need to travel back and forth. So
yeah. So if you would like to jump into Portugal market, what should you think of? Let's say if I would like to jump in, what are the things you think I should think of?
So Portugal market is a bit different. So just to give an idea, we're talking about like 10 million people in Portugal. Yeah. In the UK, we're talking about like now with the corona. So we used to have like 60 something million. Now we are like 50 something million. So it's a bigger market in the UK. So I like country with the, when they're big. So I'm thinking about US as well. Yeah. US, I like US because, they're big. So it's something that I'm thinking in the near future. Yeah, just do your research, understand that, you don't have the population, so you don't have the population, so you need to create a good product. Portugal is very trendy at the moment because of the golden visa and a lot of techie companies are going to Portugal. But yeah, so I would say if you wanted to be involved in Portugal, just understand a bit of the culture and what you want to create here. It's the same as Sweden or any country,
Yeah. I think Portugal is the similar size as Sweden population-wise, because I think we're like 10 million, so it's the same, I guess. So what's the next step in your property journey? You mentioned US briefly. Is that the next step, or?
Yeah, eventually I wanted to go to US. I wanted to build a portfolio there as well. So, but I'm very kind of focused now in the UK and Portugal for a while, and maybe because eventually I wanted to move to the US. So yeah, so and I'm always going to be involved in property. So
So which cities that you're moving to in the US then, if I may ask?
I go to the US like every 3 months. So
oh wow.
Yeah, every 3 months I have kind of masterminds there. So I go. So I haven't decided yet. So what I do, I go to US, I do the mastermind 2 or 3 days, and then for example, I'm going to Florida this month. So which is September. We're in August, so it will be September next month. Sorry. And then I will go to Florida, and then I will go to Washington, DC. So I will stay a couple of days there and then I fly.
Yeah.
So I will do that until I find a city. I'm like, okay, here's where I wanted to be. Yeah, something like that.
If you need good restaurant in Washington, I can hit you up later after the after the interview. No, okay. So you mentioned that you will invest beside US, Portugal, and UK. Is there any more countries that you're looking at, or is that just these three countries?
Yeah, just for now, because when I say Portugal, I have houses in Lisbon, I have houses in Porto, and so and I have in Algarve as well. So these are the countries I know. So yeah, I don't want to invest everywhere in because you need to manage the properties as well. So you need to understand there's the management side of things. So but these are the countries I'm thinking of.
Yeah. So what is the most important thing a remote investor needs to have?
They need to have a good power team. So for example, we have a great power team for SAs in Portugal. You need to understand the law, which is a bit different. You need to have a good team. Good team is perfect, is a must. For example, in terms of refurbishment, you need to have a good team as well. You need to have a good project manager if in case you're doing abroad. It depends on how many sites as well. So for example, I like to do 4 or 5 sites at the same time. 4 is the magic number. And I'm talking about let's say I'm converting a 4-bed into 6 or a 3-bed into 5. Yeah. So these are not small projects because people think HMO is already a small project. There's a ladder and HMO is already quite high in the ladder. So I think, a power team, I would say, and then understand the demographic and the data, so you're creating something. There is a demand for what you're creating. So it's very important for remote investors to understand that, So for example, the property I have in Lisbon, they are kind of in the heart of Lisbon. So it's really for SAs, if you see what I mean.
Yeah. I understand. So if anyone wants to do what you do, what tips would you give them?
I'll do what I do. What do you mean in terms of property?
Yeah, in terms of property.
Yeah, so as I said, I don't know. People think I'm doing. I don't think I'm doing anything special. I'm just follow. Property's been around for centuries, so I'm just follow recipe. I educate myself. If you see what I mean. I did a lot of training.
Yeah.
I reach a point where people now, reach out to me. Can you help me? I think because I'm more kind of system guys, I like to create system, which does help. But if they want to educate themselves first, and and then jump in, why not? You are doing as well. So you're doing from Sweden, so you are a proof that can be done.
Thank you. But this question was most for the listeners, because I know I always get it. So I need to ask the guests this. But you're as mentioned, you're a very inspiring guy. So now I just have 4 questions and then we're done.
Okay.
So if you have unlimited funds, who would you have as a mentor? I ask this question to all my guests.
If I had a limited fund, so that is a great question. So I have many mentors, and so I have many mentors, and what I do is no one knows everything, and that's the problem. Sometimes we think we will pay one mentor and he will teach us everything. I don't know everything. No one knows everything. So I would say you need to find a mentor to do what you want to do. So for example, can I teach people how to do HMOs and the flats? Yes, I can, because I've done myself. Okay, so I have a system. So find a mentor that, if he walks the talk, so you've done what you want, you've done what you wanted to do. So, because it will shortcut your learning curve. So I wouldn't have one mentor. So I have, for example, this year I'm with one mentor. Next year I'm going to be with the other mentor. So, and so I always at least like a year have with different mentors. So some mentors I stay with longer, but so far it's been like 1 year with a mentor. Yeah.
Yeah. So still, my question is, who, if you have unlimited funds or you don't have anyone that you specific like would like to mentor you, like really like someone like maybe I don't know, Rich Dad, what Robert Kiyosaki, or I don't
As I
know,
said,
Elon Musk. I don't know.
for me, it's not about the fund. So I'm, so I'm in the position, I'm blessed to be in the position where I go to these masterminds and spend time with them. So, I don't have a specific mentor. I know that no one knows everything. So for example, I'm going to give an idea. So for example, I will go to Dan Penning in a year time. Yeah. Dan Penning, the castle. So I will be there. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, because other thing I do buy seller businesses. So I wouldn't say, for me, it's not the fund. So for me, it's like, it's go and learn from. So I know I'm not answering your questions, but yeah,
no worries.
I learned that no one knows everything. So
yeah.
not one person will know everything. Yeah.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you on that one. No one know anyone. So one book that you would recommend to your children or future children that it doesn't have to be property related.
I read a lot. So yeah, I read a lot. I read around 200 to 300 books a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I do read a lot. So a book I would recommend, I read so many books, so many good books. Let me think. I would say, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a very good, but I would say the book I would recommend if I would have a children would be The Slight Edge. Yeah, I would say Slight Edge, because I think the daily discipline to do the things over and over again. I think people think success is like kind of, they do one thing and they are successful. Success is more the daily activity that you do daily. Yeah, that makes you successful. So Slight Edge, I would say. Yeah.
Great recommendation, that book. Yeah. And if you're a property or like an investor, what book should an investor read?
Definitely Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but the quadrant one. Yeah, so for them to understand self-employed, employee, business, like the quadrant, I think is a great book. Yeah, Robert Kiyosaki did a great job there. And
one property book?
A property book, it depends. I read US, I read UK. So for the UK, I would say Simon Zutshi book, the Property Magic Life. I think he found a way to simplify the property and show different strategies. So I trained with Simon. I was the top performer. So it's a great guy.
And in the US?
The US, I read quite a few books. So I wouldn't say the name, and now people will be mad at me, but Donald Trump has quite a good book. So, in terms of property, he's a controversial guy, but, I think you can learn from everyone.
I say the same. You cannot deny the knowledge that he has when it comes to real estate. Exactly. I especially like that book, The Art of the Deal. It's so amazing, that book. So yeah, I always say he's a controversial guy, but you got to give it to him. Like when it comes to business and real estate, he knows his stuff. Yeah. He knows his stuff.
Definitely.
But Valter, thank you very much for doing this. I really want to do this episode with you because I know you sit a ton of knowledge, and just to see the growth that you've done so quickly. I mean, 3 years, that's amazing what you're doing, from going from drop out several educations to traveling to the US every 3 months. You're definitely inspiration both to me and I guess to the listeners as well. So if people wants to reach out to you, anything, like drop something to the listeners if you want, how can they do it?
Yeah, so you know, they can reach out to me on Facebook. I'm more active on Facebook. I reach, I think, almost 5,000 friends. So not quite there, but almost. So I created my public page as well. So I'm active. I'm a bit terrible in social media, but I try to post at least once a month. Yeah, but you know, I would say social media. Finally have Instagram. You know, so I think I create my Instagram account, and I'm in LinkedIn as well. So yeah, people can find me. So Valter Pontes, and I'm in the social media.
Okay, thank you. So there you have it, people. Don't be stressed, invest. Bye. Exactly.